So it's New Year's Day, and today I just want to talk about how to grow for a really abundant hungry gap. And most of the prep for my hungry gap took place back in autumn when I sowed loads of brassicas, and so I've got a nice successional sowing here which I'm going to go through with you of brassicas, but some of it I sowed much later. A lot of it in November, little bits of it in early December, and again that will get planted out for later on in the hungry gap. So I want to start actually down here with these little baby kales. I don't have a lot of kale right now in the ground, so what I really want is a really abundant supply of beautiful tender baby leaf kales all the way from sort of the end of February, March, early April, and I clear that bed in May and get it replanted. So I've got Pentland Brig, I've got Reflex Kale, I've got Carvelo Nero, and I've got Black Magic. All beautiful little kales. Not all of them suitable for sowing for a harvest in May, June, but these are just for a harvest in early spring. So then I've got lettuce that I sowed sort of back in, I think it was late October, probably early November, something like that. And that's just been grown in this greenhouse pretty much under these grow lights here. So it's not getting full grow light strength. So the plants are a little bit leggy, but still beautiful, nice leaf quality, all that sort of thing. They will give me a harvest in January, early February, and just take the pressure off my polytunnel beds so that they're still in really good condition as we kind of get into March. Got some more lettuces here, got some baby leaf kales there as well. So then let's talk about the brassicas, because I'm really excited about the brassicas this year. So in the ground already I've got quite a lot of cauliflowers and quite a lot of little tiny tightly packed Brussels sprout plants for a harvest of leaves in May, and then a harvest of sprout tops sort of the end of June, early July, and then a harvest of actual Brussels sprouts all the way through July, and then I take those out, get those beds replanted in August. I've got some more Brussels sprouts there, so beautiful Brussels sprouts. Here I've got all my cauliflowers. So I've already got some cauliflowers in the ground. They're bigger than these. These are the furthest on ones that I've got, and that are still waiting to be planted, and they're sort of waiting for space in the polytunnel. So they should actually probably come ready in early May, mid-May, something like that, and they're actually going in the little beds where the cucumbers go. I don't tend to plant my cucumbers out until late May, so there's time to get that cauliflower harvest out of there. And then I've got another batch of cauliflowers here. These should come ready end of May, very early June, and these are the ones that when these are harvested, they'll be followed by the melons. And again, I don't tend to put my melons out until June, so that timing works really nicely as well. And then I've got my cabbages. So I've got a really nice range of cabbages here. I've got traditional pointy head spring cabbages. I've got 2 batches of those. I've got red cabbages, and I've got Savoy cabbages. And I've got red cabbages in here. These will last us until the end of February. And then by the end of February, I'll actually be able to start taking some of these outer leaves off a few of these cabbages, because they're going in the ground very soon, maybe next week, something like that. And I've already got red cabbages in the ground. The red cabbages take ages, as do the Savoys, so they probably won't be ready until June. But these little spring cabbages, they grow really fast. So yeah, so take some outer leaves off those, and those won't be left to heart up. But then just a few, 3 or 4 of those will be left to heart up. So all the way through, basically, we've got cabbage. The red cabbages in the ground, they should be ready, as I said, sometime in June, early July. It does depend a little on the weather. And then the Savoy cabbages come in later. And then by the time those cabbages finish, let's say middle of July, something like that, that is the time that the red cabbages that I'm going to sow in January will be ready. And so we get a nice continuity of cabbages, and all sorts of other cabbages keep on going until, well, until about February time, end of February. Calabrese, we absolutely love Calabrese. I've got a lot of successions of Calabrese here. So what I find is that when you're talking about early Calabrese, it's way better to plant it densely, to take small heads off, because you know, if you plant densely, you're not going to get really big heads, but you might get a head sort of this sort of size, and then just 1 or 2 weeks of side shoots, and then get the beds replanted. Whereas if you start your Calabrese in March, and so it comes to maturity in summer, then you're going to leave those in the ground for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that, and get loads of side shoots. But for these, there's only a short time window to get a harvest off them, because most of these successions are going to be followed by peppers and melons. And as a result of that, we don't want, you know, what we want is lots of small heads, then just get them out the ground. So we don't want big plants that can give side shoots for a long time. We want smaller plants that can just give lots of heads really quickly and then be replanted. So I started these off 25th of September. They're ready to be planted now. And then I've got another batch that was sort of the beginning of October, middle of October, sort of, and then these are middle of November. You know, so lots of successions, and you do need lots of successions, obviously, of something like Calabrese if you want a nice continuous harvest. And I'll be starting my follow-on crop of Calabrese in March. Well, I got this little succession here. So these are Calabrese here, and these are spring cabbages. And then down there, I've got my next succession of Savoys. So I've already started those. So let's come on to the Asian greens. So I've already got Asian greens in the ground. I'm harvesting those quite strongly because I know that they're going to go to seed on me in about end of January, mid-February, something like that. And so by the end of February, I really want some other Asian greens that are coming ready for harvest, mainly for baby leaves into the salad mixes. So these are the ones I'm about to plant out today. So these are Komatsuma, red stem pak choi and tatsoi. And although they're little plants now, they will sort of start putting on growth. Not a lot of growth in January, but they get nicely established in January. They're completely hardy. And yeah, and they'll start putting on growth in February. By the end of February, we should get some decent harvest off these leaves. You know, they won't be huge, but you don't want huge leaves in salad mixes. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to get these planted. So let me just interrupt myself, because there's a lot to keep track of here. And how do you kind of keep track and make sure you're doing the right thing in the right weeks and, you know, and all that sort of thing. So the best tool I've got to help you, apart from my ebook, if you want to read a long ebook that covers everything from, you know, sowing through to harvesting and storage and, you know, everything basically, then you can take a look at that, and you can find a link to that down in the description below. But I think it's easier to just subscribe to my weekly newsletter, and that goes through what to sow each week, what to prick out, what to pot on, what to plant, when to start harvesting stuff, how to harvest stuff, how to store stuff, deals with all the sort of pests and things like that, but it does it in a timely manner. So it tells you in the right week what to do, depending on where you're growing things. So if you're growing things under grow lights, what to do. If you're not growing things under grow lights, what to do. If you're planting out under cover, what to do. If you're not planting out under cover, what to do. So it kind of covers all of the sort of nitty gritty of what to do for an abundant harvest all the way through the year. So if you're interested in that, just take a look at steverichards.substack.com and you'll find a link to that down in the description below. Back to the video. That, I think, is pretty much it for the successions apart from the lettuces. So as mentioned, I've got these lettuces that I'm kind of harvesting mid January, sort of early February sort of time. Then I've got the ones that are in the polytunnel. They'll go like really strongly all the way through February, March. Then I'll probably put something else in April, something fast growing, like maybe another succession of Asian greens. But I need more lettuces coming on stream. So these are probably the lettuces I guess I'll probably be eating these about the beginning of April, something like that. And so these are going to go in front of peas. The peas start to sort of take over the bed in late May, and then they go all the way through June and early July. And these will be out of that bed by then. So yeah, I put the peas at the back of the bed and put these at the front of the bed. And yeah, so that's the lettuces. So that, I think, is everything that I've got in here, but it illustrates nicely the power of successional sowing if you want a really abundant spring and early summer harvest. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.